Starting out with my really super old Ibanez hoodie. I have had this forever. So, throwback time. Hi, welcome back to C.O.G Music. I am Steve, and today is day one of practicing, reteaching myself how to play the guitar. And the first thing I'm going to start with goes back to, I can still remember it. It was 40 years ago after buying my very first guitar and signing up for guitar lessons. My first lesson, my teacher taught me that the first thing I should start to do is to stretch everything out. Made perfect sense. If I was taking up jogging, I wouldn't just throw on a pair of gym shoes and start running down my street. You want to loosen things up, you want to stretch out, and at my age, that is really important as far as my fingers and my overall hand muscles and everything. So, his suggestion was the best way to do that was by going over some scales. Now, with that said, I'm going to start with the scales I remember my guitar teacher showing me. Now, I do not remember if he told me there was a name to these scales or he did tell me and I completely forgot. I don't know. There's a term I've always been very familiar with, pentatonic scales. I've always used these scales in pretty much variations of these scales for warming up. And I'm sorry that I don't know exactly if this is a pentatonic scale, a variation of a pentatonic scale. I just don't know. But I'm going to go into the first scale I was showed and start warming up. It starts on the first fret. Oh, I have tuned up my guitar. It's got a nice built-in tuner, so it's in tune. That first scale starts on the first fret, the low E string. The strings from high to low go E, B, G, D, A, E. That's the way I remember them. Highest pitch to lowest pitch. But it starts on the low E string. First fret, index finger on the low E string on the first fret. Pluck down. Pinky goes on that low E string, same string, fourth fret. Pick up. Then you move over to the next string, the A string, first fret with the index finger, third fret with the ring finger. The next string over, D, first fret, index finger, ring finger, third fret. Mistake, gonna make them. A lot of them. Next string over, G string, first fret, index finger, third fret, ring finger, B string, the next string over, index finger, first fret, fourth fret, pinky, move over to the next string, the high E string, first fret, index finger, mistake, fourth fret, pinky. Descended in the opposite order. Now I'm going to go through it again without stopping and talking. Pretty good, I guess, for not having played the guitar in 9 years. Now, the second scale, all of these scales kind of intertwine and overlap each other. I'm going to get into more of a visual explaining what I mean. But just moving on to the second scale that I was showed 40 years ago, that starts at the 4th fret on the low E string, and I start by using my middle finger, which I'll spare you the showing of. 6th fret with the pinky on the same string, moving over to the next string, index finger 3rd fret, pinky on the 6th, next string, index 3rd fret, pinky on the 6th fret, next would be 3rd fret, index finger, ring finger on the 5th fret, moving over to the next string, index finger, no, I'm sorry, middle finger on the 4th fret, pinky on the 6th, next string, high E string, middle finger, 4th fret, pinky on the 6th fret. Now I'm going to pick through that in the ascending tone order. Go back down. What I personally am trying to focus on with this is obviously I'm trying my best to play the right notes at the right time. Probably the time thing is really what I'm focused more on. Really trying to coordinate the timing between the picking with my right hand and the fingering of my left hand. Probably I'm emphasizing that more in my head, even more so than getting the finger of my right hand, I'm sorry, my my other right hand, my left hand on the right string at the proper fret. Probably doing a little bit more thinking, just trying to get the picking of the string with the placement of my fingers at hopefully the right fret with my left hand. Now, what I want to get to is a visual about how those two scales connect with each other, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Now, the terms I'm going to use, let me explain this really quick. I'm going to, at various times, probably throw out terms that make perfect sense to me and probably seem completely backwards to a lot of other people. Whenever I think of a guitar, I'm sorry, it's just the way I think of a guitar, and I visualize it like this. Up and down headstock up to the body of the guitar down. It might be influenced by, I have a slight upward angle when I'm playing, but that's the way I look at it. And then when I refer to oftentimes the strings, I refer to the strings and the order of the strings. I'm referring to it from the visual of what I'm getting right now looking down at the strings. I will oftentimes refer to the low E string as the top string because it is as I'm looking down at the series of the 6 strings. So it doesn't refer to the tone of the string. That's the deepest sounding string, the low E string. But I will at times refer to it as the top string and the high E string as the bottom string. So I just want to make you aware of that. It may seem completely backwards, why, as far as the sound of the string versus, but that's it. The top, I may refer to the top of a scale, but that's the series of fingerings that happen higher up, because I'm looking at this as the top of the guitar. And the series of fingerings that happen down lower, maybe the 4th or 3rd fret, going across, I will refer to as the bottom of the scale, even though, again, the notes are higher than the notes that are up here. But with that said, let's take a closer visual comparison of that 1st scale and 2nd scale. So I'm keeping it old school here. I'm going to use this diagram of the fretboard. Got your 6 strings, 1st fret, they're labeled with the dots, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, 12th. It actually goes up, labeling 15th all the way up to the 16th fret, which I don't know, probably not going to use at all ever myself. But that 1st scale was going to go low E string, 1st fret, 2, 3, pinky on the 4th, moving over to the next string, first fret with your index finger, 3rd fret with the ring finger, first fret index finger, 3rd fret ring finger. Again, moving over, it's going to go 1st fret index finger, again, ring finger on the 3rd fret, index finger on the 1st, going over to the next string, pinky on the 4th fret, index finger on the high E string, 1st fret, pinky on the 4th. That's just, not an accurate voicing of the scale, but that is the fingering and where it is. And then as we get into the next 2nd scale, moving up the fretboard, you're going to see how the patterns overlap playing that scale. So now going over that 2nd scale, which I tried to use an orange marker, as you can see, again, I refer to this as the top portion of the scale, and I refer to this group of notes as the bottom, but the top fingerings across this scale are the exact same string and fret positions as the bottom of the 1st scale. going with middle finger on the 4th fret on the low E string, pinky on the 6th fret, index finger 3rd fret, pinky 6th fret, index finger 3rd fret, pinky 6th fret, index finger 3rd fret, ring finger on the 5th, middle finger, or some might say bad finger, 4th fret on the B string, pinky going back up to the 6th fret, middle finger, 4th fret, high E string, pinky, 6th fret, high E string. But that overlapping portion right here, like I said, what I refer to as the bottom of the first scale and the top of this scale being the exact same notes. And that pattern is going to continue on throughout the other scales. So we've taken a look at how that first scale and second scale connect with one another, so to speak. And again, my terms, the bottom of the first scale and the top of the second scale are the same notes. Moving on to the third scale, we're going to alternate between the first 3 strings, starting on the low E string, with the middle finger on the 6th fret and the pinky on the 8th fret across the first 3 strings. Then, on the next string, the index finger goes down on the 5th fret, pinky on the 8th fret. This is where these dots on the various frets come in really handy. 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, and 12th. And then if you decide to go higher than the 12th fret, it continues in that order. But now on the B string, the middle finger goes down on the 6th fret. The pinky is going to stretch way up here to the 9th fret, high E string, middle finger on the 6th fret, pinky on the 8th fret. And then descend in the opposite order. And it's really that on the B string that, between stretching 3 frets between the middle finger and the pinky, going up and coming back down, I'm already feeling the effects of doing that. Okay, we're getting there. There's 2 more scales to go. And that pattern of overlapping, the bottom of one scale, what I term the bottom of one scale overlapping with the top of the next scale. So this in this series would be the 4th scale. 8th fret index finger, 11th fret pinky, 8th fret index finger, pinky at the 11th, index finger, ring finger now at the 10th fret, G string, index finger, 8th fret, 10th fret, ring finger, middle finger, 9th fret, pinky on the 11th fret, high E string, index finger on the 8th fret, pinky on the 11th fret. Last scale in this series of warm-up scales that I do, the 5th one, 5th and last. Middle finger at the 11th fret, pinky at the 13th fret. Repeat it on the next string. Then index finger at the 10th fret, pinky 13th, index finger 10th, pinky 13th, middle finger 11th fret, pinky 13th, middle finger 11th fret on the high E string, middle finger on the 11th fret high E string, pinky on the 13th fret high E string. And again, the top of this scale overlaps the bottom of the previous scale. That's what I remember being taught as far as using these scales and warming up with these scales. It's a really starting practice point. Stretching out those fingers, working your way across the fretboard from the low E string to the high E string and back again, and paying attention to where your fingers are in reference to those reference dots. They're there for a reason and help getting your fingers in the right spot on the right fret at the right time. Go through this as slowly as you need to go. I'm going to have to go pretty slowly. But then try to work on moving from the first scale smoothly to the second scale and onward through all 5 scales. And that's just a really good starting point to start practicing from. With that said, I'm going to play a little bit of something to go out on this video. It's just some fingerings of chords that I can't name off the top of my head, but for some reason, remember. There's 2 things I really want to stress here before signing off. It's really easy to expect things from yourself. Don't do that. Take it slow. Whatever time you can put aside to practice is better than not practicing. With that said, we all have our daily schedules, and maybe you're hoping to fit in some practice time on any given day, And schedules change. Life throws us curves all the time, and if it works out that you can't practice on a particular day, don't beat yourself up over it. I've done that a lot. It's a real easy way to get turned off from doing this. So, really, I've been emphasizing myself while I contemplated whether or not I was going to buy this guitar and start playing again. I had to remind myself, if this is what I'm going to do, have fun doing it. Those two words, have fun, is the main thing I want to emphasize. I'm going to try to do it. I'm going to do it. I can do it. You can do it. And have fun.